Welcome to Luther High School and the Association Center. This is our pregame show. Tonight, the Westby girls here playing the Luther Knights. Well, our pregame show and our guest, of course, Joel Babinec, breaking news throughout the Cooley region. And the news, of course, Joel Babinec decides to retire his very last game here at Luther High School. A couple of thoughts on that first. Big loss for Luther High School, no question about it. When did you decide to do that, Coach?
Well, kind of in the fall of the year, I talked with our principal about putting together a transition plan. Over the last 3 years, it's been had some things added to my schedule as far as an administrator, and the rigors of basketball season are pretty tough, and just felt being stretched in too many different directions. And I've got a great assistant that is going to take over this, and I thought it's time.
Last home game, and this I hear you're having a lot of fans come, parents, ex-players, and so on. As you think about it, and the game is an hour away, think about what are the emotions that are going through your mind now as you prepare for that very last home game.
Well, it's been tough, but I'm trying not to think about all of that stuff and focus on the game, because for us, tonight's game is the most important thing right here. But my son just walked in, and so it's kind of starting to sink in a little bit.
I'm sure it will. Well, I'm sure it was a family decision. Your wife, Chris, your 3 daughters. We're going to talk about them. Your 2 sons, and what were their thoughts when you revealed that to them?
Did it at Christmas when they were all home, and I guess they were maybe a little surprised, but I think they also kind of realized that it's time that I can now maybe spend a little bit more with family.
Well, I'm sure you had many defining moments, many highlights, and you and I have been friends for a long time. You've been on Seven Rivers Sports. We've covered a lot of your games. I've officiated many of your games. I don't know if that's one of your highlights, but I've been on the court. Of course, you coached Erica, Emma, and Elizabeth, and I remember them fondly. Share some of your thoughts on coaching your daughters.
That was certainly special, to be able to be part of their lives and part of their basketball careers. Wouldn't give that back for anything. Just a special bond that you, in this case, father and daughter, were able to share. And for them, as they were so successful as athletes, and their teams were really successful, it was, again, very neat to be able to share that with them.
You know, I've said this on Seven Rivers Sports, and I've said it throughout the community, that one of my favorite places to officiate is Luther High School. The culture here with staff, with parents, with administrators. It's a special culture, and you're part of that culture. Talk about the support you've gotten from administrators and from parents.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable over these years. I just so thankful to be working in Christian community and environment like this. Everyone is always so supportive. We're never without our trials and tribulations at times, but we all get through it very, very well, and it's just a pleasure.
After 22 years, you're going to step down, but you're also going to remain as AD and as teacher, and then there's going to be a smooth transition to the next coach. But any thoughts on continuing as a teacher and as an administrator?
Yeah, that's where I can put my 100% focus now. When you think of a full-time teacher, granted, I teach about a half day, and then about a half day is for the administration part. But even just basketball has transitioned, and sports have transitioned so much over the course of the time that I've been doing this. It's not just a November through March thing, but it's year-round rigors that are expected.
Let me read you a quote from Paul Wickman, your principal and a friend of mine. Here's what he said: as a coach, the quality and the character that you bring in this Christ-centered program is the hallmark of each and every team that you've ever coached, whether it's you're deep in talent or whether not so much talent. You've held your players to a high expectation, and you've assisted them growing not only as athletes but as Christian young women. Thoughts on that?
Well, thank you, Paul. As a coach, you're a teacher first, and you're not teaching in a classroom. You're teaching on a court, and you're teaching about a game you love. But there's so many life skills and lessons that are a part of the game, and you just have so many opportunities to model that and instruct it.
Scott Kish is a close friend of mine, and of course you coached his 3 daughters, Caitlin, Jessica, and Mackenzie, and I talked to him earlier today. Here's what he said about Coach Joe Babinec. Joe was the coach that every parent would want their daughter to play for, a role model for everyone. He cared about his team, and we are very proud, Laura and I, that Joe was the coach of the Kish girls, and it was a pleasure to play under Coach Joe Babinec. I think he speaks not only from his heart for him and Laura, but he speaks for other parents too that felt that way about you during your career. And that's special. Is that the legacy that you want to leave as you step down as head coach?
Legacy is a big word, Terry. I guess when I think of what I've been able to accomplish and give to the program here over this course of the years, just that these kids have had fun playing the game, that they've worked hard. Like you said, we've had some real successful teams, and we've had some teams that have struggled to be successful in the win column, but we find other ways to be successful. And as long as we're growing as individuals, as young ladies in this case, and learning things that they're going to take into their life beyond basketball and beyond high school, that's important.
I imagine, I think it was Erica's team playing with Caitlin that went to the sectional finals. Certainly that's one of the defining moments in your career.
Yeah, that team actually got to a sectional semifinal. That was the 2008 team. The 2014 team was an awesome one too. That one did get to the finals and one game away from state. That was kind of one of those teams that really peaked at the end, and it was really special for them.
I know this is a Christ-centered institution, which is why I certainly like coming here. My last question is, if you were going to choose a Bible verse, because I know that's part of who you are, what would be the Bible verse that led you through your 22 years of coaching?
Mm-hmm. It's the one that's up on the gym wall here, and it's one that I use in a prayer before every game, that we do all to the glory of God. Everything that we do is to His glory, to His honor.
Many people have said to me, Terry, you're a lucky man, all the things that have happened to you in your life, and I acknowledge that, and I appreciate that. I'll say to you, Joel Babinec, you're a lucky man too. You're blessed, and you've blessed others. And we appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you, Terry.
All right. Well, our pregame show, Joel Babinec, and when we come back, we're going to give you the rundown and kind of set the stage for this big game here, the Luther Knights versus the Westby Norsemen, right after this.